Peter Mandelson enjoying life at the Washington ambassador's residence last year. He'd hoped he'd still be there and could have been accompanying the King and Queen into the garden yesterday. Instead, a new ambassador, triggering some unwanted headlines himself today, was doing the honours, and Peter Mandelson's appointment is being raked over as a colossal mistake with never-ending political fallout. Today, a debate and vote on whether Keir Starmer misled Parliament on Peter Mandelson.
Why are they acting like sheep? Why are they acting like sheep? They should be better than that.
Not the obvious way to woo Labour MPs to vote with you, to have Keir Starmer, like Boris Johnson before him, investigated by the Privileges Committee. But some Labour MPs are so angry they are tempted.
The fact that MPs like me are being whipped into voting against this motion is, in my view, wrong, Mr. Speaker. It has played into the terrible narrative that there is something to hide, and good, decent colleagues will be accused of being complicit in a cover-up.
The Prime Minister needs to stop putting Labour MPs in awkward situations. The open and honest thing would be to refer himself to the committee. But if he won't, then I'm afraid he has left me with no choice. I will have to vote for this motion this afternoon.
Keir Starmer, by trying to reject any reference to the Privileges Committee, has he burnt off some political capital?
Yeah, he's struggling in quicksand, political quicksand, and going deeper into that quicksand.
What proportion of Labour MPs would you say, as we stand here now, support Keir Starmer continuing in office?
A minority.
It's a matter of time.
Yes, I think it is a matter of time, and this debate today is making the inevitable, I suppose.
This was the moment Peter Mandelson first introduced himself to the US President. Watching the encounter, Keir Starmer's then Chief of Staff Morgan McSweeney, who recommended him and then lost his job when Peter Mandelson's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein was revealed as close and long-standing, not the brief acquaintance he'd claimed under questioning.
When I saw the pictures, when I saw the Bloomberg questions in September 2025, I have to say it was like a knife through my soul. I did not expect that level of connection.
Morgan McSweeney rejected the suggestion that he pushed for Peter Mandelson's appointment because he was enthralled to the veteran politician. He also insisted Keir Starmer had not been enthralled to him.
I don't regard Mandelson as a hero. I think that's an exaggeration of the kind of relationship that I had with him. In every advice that I gave to the Prime Minister, hand on heart, I thought I was operating with a motive in a national interest. There is no way the Prime Minister would just accept one person's view as being pro a candidate if everyone else had been against it. I think
even if it had been you?
Even if it had been me, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The Prime Minister has his own mind. He reaches his own decisions. Sometimes he takes advice from me and will go with it, and sometimes when I was there, he didn't.
The Prime Minister had decided that he wished to make a political appointment. Was it you who first said, Prime Minister, I've got the perfect candidate, Peter Mandelson?
I think the first person who put Mandelson's name forward was Mandelson.
Directly to the Prime Minister, I want the job? Or
I think he talked, I don't know if he spoke to him. I think he talked to a lot of people, making it clear that he was interested in the job, including, I'm sure, possibly even members of the press.
Morgan McSweeney said Number 10 may have put pressure on the Foreign Office to approve Peter Mandelson for the ambassador role, but to speed up their work.
There's a world of a difference between saying we want to go quicker and we want to be reckless. There's a world of a difference from saying to a taxi driver, I'm late for a plane, to can you break all the red lights and go speeding. There's a world of a difference between those things. One is proper. We want things done quickly. The people of this country should want Number 10 to say we want things done quickly. The other one is wholly improper.
Earlier, the committee called back the former Foreign Office chief who was in post when Peter Mandelson was first selected by Number 10.
At no point did anyone consult me, ask me. I was presented with a decision. There was no space, and told to get on with it. There was no space for dialogue.
While Sir Philip was trying to explain the previous ambassador, the brand new one, Sir Christian Turner, was making headlines. secretly recorded while speaking to students just after he arrived at the UK Embassy in Washington, the ambassador shared thoughts on Keir Starmer's political longevity and who the US really values.
I think there is probably one country that has a special relationship with the United States, and that is probably Israel. And Keir personally is he's a stubborn guy. He's never lost a fight he's in, and so I think Keir saying I'm quitting is quite a high bar. So probably the moment I would look to is the May elections. If Labour does very badly in the May elections, I suspect the party will move to go over that threshold and remove him.
The ayes to the right, 223. The noes to the left, 335.
The government comfortably won the vote and has prevented Keir Starmer having to endure a Privileges Committee investigation like the lethal one he helped to orchestrate into Boris Johnson. But political capital was spent in this process, and many Labour MPs say the stocks have nearly run out.
Gary Gibbon reporting there. Well, let's get the government position on all this by talking to Jo Stevens. She's the Secretary of State for Wales. Thank you very much for coming on the programme. 53 abstentions, more than a dozen rebels. I mean, it's not a political earthquake, but it's a sign of trouble to come, isn't it?
Well, no, I think in that abstentions group, you'll have people who are away because they're ill, or they may have had bereavements, or they've got constituency engagements, or they've got something else and they were slipped. So obviously we've got elections next week. So I wouldn't read too much into that figure.
But these people have been whipped to come all the way from their constituencies where they should have been campaigning to be here.
Unless they were slipped, which would be included in the abstentions. So I wouldn't read too much into that at all. What we did see was an overwhelming result for the government defeating this motion, which was a political stunt ahead of elections next week. That's all it was.
But none of this would have happened if the Prime Minister hadn't impetuously sacked Ollie Robbins 2 weeks ago. Right?
No,
we would not be here today with this vote.
I absolutely disagree with that. What we were dealing with today was a political stunt, and it was focusing on what the Prime Minister said about pressure, and he was talking about pressure that was everyday pressure. He was talking about that as something separate to pressure on civil servants in relation to the vetting, and that was the smear that was being pushed today, which was absolutely pushed out by Philip Barton this morning in his evidence to the Foreign Affairs Select Committee.
But the public will forget what you call a political stunt. What they will not forget was the ill judgment, the hasty ill judgment of making Peter Mandelson ambassador in Washington.
That was a wrong decision. The Prime Minister has accepted that. He has said that numerous times. He made a mistake. He has apologised. But this today was about something different. This wasn't about Peter Mandelson being appointed. This was doing something ahead of the elections next week. We want to get on with delivering for the country, bringing down bills, tackling the cost of living, making sure Britain is secure in the world, instead of which we had this farce today.
But again and again, this Prime Minister doesn't read the room. He's too incurious, he doesn't do his homework, he makes the wrong decisions, and too many civil servants' heads are rolling down the road.
No, I don't agree with that at all. The Prime Minister relied on advice that he received when he made his decision. He then found out that he had not been told pertinent information. Had he been told that, he would not have made that decision. And that is clear. Due process was followed. That's been corroborated by the advisor on ethics, by Cat Little, by Ollie Robbins, and by others.
Do you think he should have been sacked, Ollie Robbins? What do you think, personally?
I think if you withhold information from the Prime Minister and you allow the Prime Minister then to go ahead and speak about this, knowing that you have withheld information again and again, and that you get the Foreign Secretary to sign evidence to a select committee, knowing that you have not disclosed full information, I don't see how you can continue in post.
So if the Prime Minister is in the clear, you're presumably now going to invite him to come to Wales and campaign on your behalf?
The Prime Minister is welcome in Wales anytime.
But do you really want him on the campaign trail?
The last time he was in Wales, we announced £14 billion for rail infrastructure in Wales. Historic generational commitment, along with nuclear. He came to announce nuclear on Wilver in Anglesey that's going to provide thousands of jobs. That's what we're delivering in Wales. That's what people will be voting on.
He is spectacularly unpopular. Do you want him to be on the campaign trail next to you, campaigning for Labour in Wales?
Absolutely. As I've said, the Prime Minister is welcome in Wales anytime.
Okay, and if it goes badly next week in the elections, which is what all the polls are predicting, what happens then? We're into another round of questions about his leadership.
No, we're not. Next week is an election for Wales about who they want to be the First Minister of Wales, who they want to lead the Welsh Government for the next 4 years. Do they want a new chapter, bringing the last 20 months and all the delivery in Wales that I've just talked about, jobs, unemployment down, wages up, all of that? Do they want that to continue, or do they want to take a risk with nationalist parties?
Okay, Joe Stevens, thank you very much. We're now going to do a Westminster shuffle, not a reshuffle. We get Alex Burkhardt. Alex Burkhardt, there he is from the Tory party. He is the Shadow Cabinet Secretary and Cabinet Minister, and he's with me now. Thank you very much. It's good to see you.
Hi.
This was your big day, right? I mean, you tabled the motion. It was your big day. Waste of time.
No, not at all. It's been the largest Labour rebellion of Keir Starmer's premiership. Huge cracks opening up in the Labour Party. But also, you'll have seen the polling today from YouGov, which shows that the vast majority of people in this country want there to be an investigation into Keir Starmer's appointment of Peter Mandelson. And Labour MPs, with the thumb screws turned on them by the Labour whips, just had that, slam the door in that idea. This will be terrible for the Labour Party in the long term. And the job of the opposition, the job of the Conservative Party, the job that I'm doing with Kemi Badenoch, is to make sure that everybody out there sees just how evasive and panicky this government is. If they had nothing to hide, it would have been very straightforward. Prime Minister could have referred himself to the Privileges Committee, but he was too frightened to do it. Why? Because he has something to hide, because he knows that he has misled Parliament.
But if you had not had this vote today and this debate today, well, people would remember the mandarins fighting with the ministers, different statements coming out.
People will remember that anyway.
Well,
of course they will. Everybody remembers the whole of this sorry saga, right from the point when the Prime Minister appointed Peter Mandelson.
If the opposition is busy shooting itself, why get in the way?
The opposition isn't shooting itself. The opposition is shooting the government.
Your opposition, the government, if the government's position.
No, look, we are showing at every turn just how incompetent and misleading this government is being. And that's our job. Our job is to turn up and explain why no one can trust this Prime Minister and his government. And more and more people saying that as a result of the work that we're doing.
They're not trusting the Tory party anymore as a result of it, frankly.
You're
still labouring under the shadow of this trust, frankly, aren't you? Yes, you are.
Well, obviously...
We'll find out in the next elections.
Well, you know that, because you follow these things very closely, you'll know that Kemi is now the most popular leader of any political party, and you'll also know that the Conservative Party is more trusted on the economy than any other party. Now, that's necessary, but it's not sufficient. We still have an enormous amount of work to do, because there's a new generation of the Conservative Party that are in charge now. Of course, we have to rebuild trust in the party, but it's exactly this sort of hard work and hard scrutiny that some other opposition parties aren't doing that shows that we're the people who are fit to take over.
Right, but just on this particular question of Mandelson, I mean, 2 weeks, I think it was 2 weeks ago, she said the Prime Minister was lying, and then she changed her tune, she softened that. So she starts with a maximalist position, then she has to row back.
He has lied.
There's no proof of that.
Yes, there is. And he told, right, so if you go back to Hansard, you go to Hansard, what he said on Wednesday, he actually misquoted what Ollie Robinson said. He changed his words to change the meaning. That was fundamentally dishonest. It's one of the reasons we brought forward the motion today, and it's shameful that Labour MPs voted it down. It's there in black and white.
So, for you, this has been quite a good week, quite a good few weeks, looking at the shambles on the government side. But the bigger picture for you is that reform is breathing down your neck, and you have not yet recaptured the trust, of the British electorate, which you squandered when you were last in government.
As you know,
and
it's a different group.
Polls indicate we're about to see that.
It's a different group of people running the Conservative Party now, and you're right. It is only just over 18 months on from our biggest defeat in history. But I think that the ground that we're making up under Kemi's leadership is something that very few people expected. And it's a sign that over the course of the next 3 years, we have the opportunity to win back the trust of the British people and kick this absolutely useless government out of power.
If the Tory party is routed by reform in the local elections in Wales, in Scotland, should there be questions about Kemi Badenoch's leadership?
Absolutely not. Kemi is, by far the Conservative Party's best asset. It's why she has become more trusted than any other political leader, and I have every confidence that she's going to take us into the next election and win that next election.
Alex Burkhardt, thank you very much indeed.